Hello, welcome to Chef Richard's Kitchen. I'm Chef Richard Miller. Well, St. Patrick's Day is coming up in about a week or so, and I thought, what better way to celebrate St. Patrick's Day, even though I cook up a batch of corned beef and cabbage, than to make some Irish, well, at least at one time they were Irish, dishes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make, probably 4. So beef and cabbage. I'm going to make colcannon, which is a cabbage and potato dish. I'm going to make Irish soda bread, and, what says better about St. Patrick's Day than making a homemade Bailey's Irish cream. Now, Bailey's Irish cream is probably about as Irish as I am. It was actually created in London, and everybody knows I'm pretty much German and Bohemian. So, but anyway, we're going to make those. I'm hoping I have a chance to make either a shepherd's pie or a lamb stew with it, beef and Guinness stew, something like that. But we'll see how our time goes. Anyway, for Irish soda bread, we start out with, what are we going to need? Well, as far as equipment, we're going to need a mixing bowl. We're going to need a pie dish or something like this. You can use a Dutch oven if you want. Just make sure that you spray a non-stick in here so when we bake it, it doesn't stick. Let me set that over there out of the way. We need a whisk, and since I'm just going to be using a little small measuring cup, I have a small whisk. And we're going to need a pastry cutter here. Although many times I just use my fingers on it. You can use a food processor in there. But what I found is the food processor usually just pulverizes it too much. So I'm going to use the pastry cutter and my fingers. Some people say just use a couple of knives in there. I don't think I've ever been graceful enough to do that, so hence the cutter. All right, ingredients. We're going to start out with about 1 3/4 cups of buttermilk. And I went and I suddenly realized I don't have any buttermilk. Well, fortunately, you can make it fairly easily. All you need to do is take and put a tablespoon, probably a tablespoon and a half of either lemon juice or white vinegar in the bottom of a measuring cup, and then pour in 1 3/4 cups of either 2% or whole milk. You can, in a pinch, use 1%, or I hear you can use skim. I've never tried it, but they say it works in a pinch. But anyway, this is 2%, and it's the lactose free. Not that I am, but often a lot of people that eat my stuff, I know some that are lactose intolerant, so I usually use that for milk. We need that. We need an egg. We need about 5 tablespoons of butter, and you can't make an Irish dish without using, of course, Kerrygold butter. Not to mention, I like it a whole lot better. We need about 1 cup of raisins, and mine were extremely dry, so what I did was I put them in a glass, just a water glass, and I filled it with hot water and let it sit for 30 to 40 minutes. That kind of rehydrates the raisins. We'll need 3 tablespoons of just granular sugar, a teaspoon of baking soda, hence the name, and about a teaspoon of salt. In addition to that, we're probably going to need about 4 1/4 cups of just regular all-purpose flour. In this case, I think I have bread flour because that's what I had. All right, the first thing is the milk is thickened here, and so we're fine. The first thing to do is we're going to take and we're going to whisk in our egg. Now, if you want, you can go ahead and and leave the egg out. The egg gives it a creamier, probably a little more dense mouthfeel when you go ahead and bite into the bread. If you want it a little lighter, leave the egg out. There's no other substitutions, or you don't have to cut anything else down the recipe, just leave it out. Okay, there's my egg and buttermilk mixture. Now the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to start adding some flour. I have a little piece of paper and they're reminding me what kind of flour that is in there. One, two, three, and I'm actually going to put about 3.5 cups in there, mainly because I want to check it a little later. All right, now let's go ahead and add our salt, our baking soda, our sugar. And now we're going to go ahead and let's mix these together. All right. Now I'm going to put in my butter. And what I actually did was I took, and the colder your butter, the better it works because it doesn't, squish so much. So I actually took and put this in the freezer for a little bit, and it'll be nice and stiff. So let's go ahead and let's work this. And you want to work it till almost pretty much like gravel, kind of like you would a pie crust. Okay, that seems to be pretty well incorporated. Let's go ahead and put a little bit of our buttermilk egg mixture in. Okay, and what we want to do is when it gets to the point, and we probably need to put some more flour in it. When it gets to the point where it's getting really sticky, then you'll probably have to put a little more flour in there. And at that point, we'll bring it out and we'll knead it by hand. Can you use the old trusty KitchenAid? Sure. I wouldn't do it with, to put the butter in there, but after you get the butter incorporated in there, yeah, you could. All right. And now let's go ahead and let's do some more of it by hand. Now I should have probably just used one hand for this because I'm definitely going to need some more flour. Okay, we put in, what was it, 3.5 cups. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put in probably maybe 3/4 cup, something like that. And the raisins are pretty moist, so they'll probably add a little moisture to it as well. So now let's go ahead and blend this again. Now, the one thing you do notice that I didn't put in is yeast. And Irish soda bread relies on the baking soda and the buttermilk to rise. So there's no yeast. Add just a little more flour. I'm going to pull it out of the bowl here. And just knead it on the counter for a while. This step is pretty critical because we want to make sure that all the flour is moistened. In fact, now we're getting to the point where could almost use a little more flour. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and bring over our baking pan. Put our bread in here. And I want to score the top. So I'm just going to use a serrated knife. And when I say score, I mean probably 1/4 inch. Okay. Now, let me go ahead and let me wash my hands here, and we'll go ahead and we'll bake it. Besides, I'm waiting for the oven to heat up. Okay, here we have our loaf. I'm going to set it on the I'm going to set it on top of the stove and I'm going to leave it sit there for about 10 minutes. And the reason is I want to make sure that all of the flour in here, is moist. It's not to let it rise. Remember, there isn't any yeast in here. So I'm going to go ahead and let it set for a few minutes. You can see over here on the detail camera what it looks like. So I'll be back in about 10 minutes and we'll go ahead and we'll put it in the oven. We're going to let it bake for probably about 45 minutes, something like that. And we should be about done. So see you in 10 minutes. Okay, it's been 10 minutes. I'm pretty sure that even before I let it rest, it was all moist inside, but I just wanted to be sure. So anyway, now let's go ahead and put it in the oven. I'm going to put it in the oven for, probably about 45 minutes at 400 degrees. So, into the oven. You can see how nice that loaf looks before it bakes. Okay, it's been 45 minutes, so let's go ahead and open the oven and see how we did. I checked it after about 30 minutes or so, and it looked like it was browning very nicely. So what I did was I put a tint of foil over it so that it wouldn't overly brown. Now I want to take it out of the oven and I want to check it to see if it's done. Now, all ovens, the thermostats are different, so you never know what you're going to get. You could be 20 degrees high, you could be 30 degrees low, whatever. So the only thing I've really found that makes sure that you actually get it right is just a little digital thermometer. So I want to go ahead and I want to pull the bread out now, and I want to check and see if it's up to 195 degrees. If it is, let's go ahead and bring it out and let's let it cool down a little bit. All right. No. It's only around 150 or 150 some inside. It's not done. So let's go ahead and let's put it in for about another 15 minutes. Okay, it's been an additional 15 minutes. So let's go ahead and let's pull our loaf out of the oven. Let's take its temperature again and let's see where we stand. Okay, we're up to 195. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to remove that from the baking dish, and we're going to let it cool down for a little bit. Then we're going to go ahead and cut it, butter it, and let's taste it, see how we did. So anyway, I'll see you when it's cool. Okay, it's been about 15 minutes, so let's go, and it's cooled down nicely. So let's go ahead and let's cut it. Let's see what we have. nice in the center. You can see the raisins in there. Not too, just, just about right on the texture. So let's go ahead and I'm going ahead and cut one. And I want to take and put a little butter on there. Okay. There we go. Now, I'm going to take this end here and remember how I told you to always taste it before you serve it? Nice flavor. It has a nice flavor. It has a nice texture. You can see that the buttermilk and the soda cause it to rise nicely. Let me put a couple of lime leaves right in front of that. And there you go. That's the traditional Irish soda bread. Now, go ahead, please feel free to make this, and if you do, or if you make any changes and it turns out good, I love to know how my viewers, do these, how well they do, and if they have anything that they do to add to it or subtract to it to make it better. I'm all ears. So anyway, once again, thank you again for watching my episode. Take care. God bless. Remember that cooking is always supposed to be fun, and we'll see you next episode. Bye for now.